Hi, in this video I'm going to be talking about why music is so important for us during the coronavirus crisis that we're living through right now. If you haven't met me yet, I'm Jennifer Roig-Francolí. I'm the creator of The Art of Freedom. I specialize in helping musicians feel better and play better. So we all know that music is a wonderful thing. It really is, in so many ways. It's always a wonderful thing. I was just thinking about this before I came online, and if silence is golden, which it is, silence is just magical and absolutely essential. If silence is golden, what's music? Music is like the sparks that fly out of the silence. As musicians, we learn how to access the silence and draw out the stuff of life, the beauty that is in the silence, and the richness, not just the beauty, but the infinitude that lies in the silence. As musicians, we learn how to draw that out and express the richness of the silence through sound. There are so many reasons that music is important and essential and natural. We all sing. Just think about children and how they sing and hum without even really thinking about it. They just do. It's natural to being human, to make sound and to make sense of the sound. Sound is how we make sense of the silence. So now we're in this crazy time where many of us around the world are isolated. We aren't going out, we aren't connecting in person with people because we don't want to get sick and we don't want to get other people sick. And so a lot of us are finding that in this time that we have at home, we need to draw on the resources that we have and also find other resources to help ourselves physically, emotionally, spiritually, creatively. And music is something that many of us turn to, whether we're musicians or not. I think of how my kids loved to be listening to music all the time. They would listen to music while they were doing their homework. They'd have their headphones on when they were going for walks. It was a little much for my taste, actually, but they loved it. And they're both musicians now and aiming for musical careers. I think about my dad, who still every day spends time resting, listening to music. Music is uplifting, but it's not just uplifting. It helps us regulate our emotions. It helps us to balance the positive and negative emotions that we have. It helps us to come away from the words and the thinking stuff that clutters our minds all day long. Silence is golden for that, but music is almost an easier way to tap into that inner quiet and that inner wisdom that we have. Music helps us to know ourselves. It helps us to instantly change our mood. You can choose a piece of music that has a certain mood and instantly you're going to be influenced by it, for better or for worse. There is some music that is going to influence you into a more negative state than others. So it's important to be judicial with the music that you choose to listen to. And not all music is going to affect everyone the same way. So you've got to be very aware of how music is affecting you personally in any moment. So music can also help you relieve stress. This is proven. There's tons of research out there. If you just Google music and stress relief or music and healing, it's like millions of entries there on Google. It's just a fact that music changes us, right? So I'm sure you all have this experience, but I wanted to talk about why it's extra helpful and important now. In my experience, because everything has shifted so dramatically and so quickly, everything seems to be magnified. So the feelings that we have seem to be more extreme, a lot of us. I'm not saying everybody has this experience, but a lot of the things that we were experiencing before coronavirus hit, we're now experiencing the same things, like the same habits that we have, but they're more obvious. They're on a bigger, grander, more intense scale. So if you had positive intentions before and you were working on those things, now it's like you've got to elevate it and step it up. That's my experience anyway. And then also habits negative habits, so to speak, negative, there's no such thing. Habits that are not helpful are probably magnified now too. For instance, one that I'm pulling off the top of my head, the habit of getting distracted by social media. Anybody out there ever get distracted by social media? Hopefully I'm not distracting you right now since I'm on social media. But I didn't really think this was an issue for me, because I would get distracted a little bit, but it wasn't really a big deal and I would catch myself. But now I'm finding that it is a big deal for me, and I get much more distracted than I thought I did, and I'm much more aware of it. So just to say that habits are being emphasized and magnified because of what we're living through right now. So as I said at the beginning of the video, we need to have tools and we need to use them. And music is at the ready for all of us. Even if you don't have a musical instrument, you're not a musician, you can sing. And you can go online, and my goodness, there's so much music happening online now. Before I forget, I did want to tell you that I myself am making more music more available, and I'm doing things I never dreamed that I thought I would or could do, even though I always wanted to. Namely, I've always wanted to improvise, but it was terrifying to me. Somehow I've stepped it up and I'm doing it now. So you can actually find my personal healing improvisations through music on my personal Facebook timeline, and on YouTube I've created a new playlist. And if you want to subscribe to that, I would love your subscription, by the way. So there's just a wealth out there. There's so much available, so many resources. Music is healing. It's balancing, it regulates our mood, it relieves stress, as I said before. It also helps improve your focus and attention. So if you do have that habit of getting distracted, music can be a very powerful way to bring you back. The other special thing that music does is it connects you instantly to your inner experience. Most of us are habitually rather outward focused, and influenced a lot by our surroundings and our circumstances. When you listen to music, especially if it's music that's helpful, then you are instantly more connected to your inner experience. And ideally, we want to be balancing our inner and outer experience so that it's a unified field of attention, in the words of Frank Pierce Jones, an Alexander teacher. But there's a way that you can listen to music that allows you to become absorbed in a positive way in your awareness of self. And there's a movement that happens too, so you're not getting stuck, because music keeps moving. So I'm finding that as I listen to the music, it comes in and it moves through me if I let it, if I'm not blocking it out. It moves through me, and then it helps me remember things that I want to remember, and it helps me connect to my purpose the way I understand it. And then it helps me connect to deeper feelings I might not have been accessing. And when you connect to deeper emotions inside yourself and you let them move, that is healing. It's really healing. It's healing in itself, but it's especially healing if you're conscious that that's what's happening. You're letting your emotions be moved and touched, and then you can use that to transcend those emotions. So there is a potentially transcendent aspect to music. This is something I'm exploring day by day now. I find it very fascinating, and it's kind of bringing me back to my childhood in unusual, unexpected ways. When I was a child, first, when I was 2 years old, apparently, my parents tell me I used to say I needed a violin, right? My parents are musicians. They used to play chamber music in our living room with friends. It was a social activity. They were happy. There was connection, communication. I fell in love with a violin and I needed one. So I didn't get one until I was 4, but I was stuck on that idea and I never gave it up. Then as a kid and teenager, I used music to help regulate my emotions. And I've always been a very sensitive person, so my emotions are heightened. They're big, big ups, big downs, just very raw. And I think all artists are like that. But I was like that as a kid, and I knew that music was going to help heal me. So I remember so many times in the evening, if I was upset, I would get out my violin and I'd go into my room, turn off the lights, make music in the dark. I'd cry, I would get out whatever I needed to, I would express what I needed to express, and I would feel better afterwards. For whatever reasons, and there are many of them that I'm not going to go into, I stopped doing that when I was about 19. And I didn't do that again for literally decades, except when I was performing, because performing is always that type of experience for me. It's always really getting into the music deeply and transmuting whatever it is. But I didn't do it for myself anymore for decades, and I suffered because of that. So I realized a number of years ago that I needed to get back to it. And it's been a long and interesting and not always easy journey back, but also very, very important and healing. And now something's happening because of the coronavirus where, like I said, everything seems to be magnified, and I'm sensing the importance of what we're doing here on Earth in a much bigger way. And music is a huge part of it. We need to use it and appreciate it. Use it for what it is and not minimize the power of the music. So I'm using it for myself again, for self-healing in this crazy, scary time. And I realize that it's not just for me, and it can't just be for me. So as I use it to heal myself, I transmute that and I offer it out for healing. And that's what I've started doing on my personal Facebook timeline, which is public, by the way. So again, I invite you to go over there if you want to see what I'm talking about. Or on YouTube, that's where I have that playlist, which is my first forays into improvisation. But it's not just improvisation. There's a lot behind it. And I'm hoping, I'm doing it for myself, but I've gotten a lot of feedback that it's healing for others as well. So that's why I keep doing it in public. So I think these are the things I wanted to say. And I hope this is interesting and of use for you. If you're a musician, I really hope you'll consider joining my free Facebook group where I offer more of this. My specialty, again, is to help musicians feel better physically and emotionally and spiritually, and also to play better, because your technique improves, your stage presence improves, your power to connect to yourself and your person, your purpose, and to share and express that freely, getting over the fears. That's something that we talk about in my group. This is what I teach my students every day. So if you're a musician, come on over there and join my Facebook group if you're curious. And I also want to remind some of you, if you don't know this, I have a Jumpstart package, which is, probably most of you don't know this, it's not a reminder. I wanted to tell you, I have a Jumpstart package that introduces you to the Art of Freedom method and the Alexander technique, which is what I share with my students. I have online group programs. We meet with live classes twice a week, but people can also just watch the videos. They can't come live. Now, a lot of people have more time, so it might be the perfect time to get started with something like that if you're at home wanting to learn and improve yourself as a musician or heal from injury or all kinds of things. So the Jumpstart package I'm offering now for 50% off, which is like a huge discount, because I really want to help musicians now during the coronavirus time. I understand so many performances and things that we were counting on have been canceled. I was supposed to go on tour with Apollo's Fire just now, and that of course was all canceled. So I recognize that it's a tough time financially for a lot of musicians, and I hope that offering this is not only going to be helpful for the musicians out there that need help and want to learn and feel better and play better, but that it will be easier, more accessible because it's 50% off. So if you know anybody who could benefit from that, please feel free to share this, tell them about the Jumpstart package, and all they need to do is message me and I'll send all the details and the coupon code. So before I leave and shut off right now, I do want to say hello to everybody who's here, and thank you very much for showing up. I see Renee is here. Oh, the video keeps freezing. Hopefully that's on your end, not just, I hope that's not on my end. Sorry about that. And Angel, yes, Angel says, I did the same thing, played out all my emotions in music. Yeah, it's interesting how I think children naturally realize that singing or dancing or making art is healing. I think, like I said before, I think it's a human essential element to being human, for us to express and to turn things into art. Okay, I'm not seeing any more comments, but if you, and the other thing I wanted to tell you is that I'm doing a live Facebook program every morning at 11:30 a.m. from my Facebook timeline, which is public. I am doing something called The Cycle and then a little silent meditation. So if you would like a little bit of calm and peace and centering in a very, very powerful way, I hope you'll join me at 11:30 from my timeline tomorrow. So be well, enjoy your music, and thanks. Oh, hold on, one more thing. Natalie says I need to play some heavy metal on violin to let it all out. Yeah, I mean, whatever helps you move those feelings. And then also, I find it personally important to, even if it's a crazy, chaotic, or angry, or if there's a rage or some negative emotion that is like bursting to come out of me, yeah, it can end up being violent music. But I always have in view wanting to transcend that. So I love improvising because of that. And I just started doing it, like I said, so I'm still exploring this, but I really enjoy getting it out and then watching how I can change it so that it goes up, and then it's uplifting by the end. That's not to say it's always going to be like that, but I have that intention, and I think that intention is coming through when I do that. So yeah, interesting. Okay, thanks and take care. I'm here Thursdays at 2 o'clock every week for a talk on a topic. If anybody has a topic that you'd like me to talk about, just message me and I'll consider it for next week. All right, be well, enjoy your music, and lots of love. Bye-bye.